lives in the East Riding of Yorkshire, and this is my podcast about my handmade life. Welcome. This is the bit where I say that you can find me on Instagram as Louleigh_, on Ravelry as Louleigh, and I have a shop where I sell sewing patterns and well, I have two. Oh, this is getting confusing now. I feel like I'm going to have to explain myself. Okay, so my normal patter that I go through at the beginning of the podcast has changed. I have a shop. I'll talk about that in a minute. You can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. Welcome. I've just finished working for the day, and of course here in the UK at least we are still in lockdown, and so the days are starting to seem all the same. Yeah, it's been getting a little bit Groundhog Day here. And I hadn't come and spoken to you for a while, so I thought that that would be what I would do. Yeah, I might do my usual trick and just pop in a few times this week and have a little chat with you. Yes, that is my laundry in the background. You're welcome. So recently life has changed for me a little bit, and I have gone back to a regular day job. So I am no longer sewing things for my shop. I used to sell knitting needle cases and knitting accessories and knitting bags that I made myself, and I will no longer be updating my shop with physical handmade items. However, my Etsy shop has sewing patterns in it, so specifically if you wanted to have a go at making one of my notions cases or one of the knitting needle cases that I used to make, then you can pop over there and purchase the sewing pattern. And I also have a Ravelry store where I sell sock patterns and other accessories over there. So yeah, so that's where you can find me these days, and clearly I need to work out how I disperse that information at the beginning of the podcast. Because what I'm in the habit of saying is no longer true. Yeah. I am just taking a little moment to knit on a cardigan, and I'm not sure if I spoke to you about this last time. It might be something that I've started since then. Some friends and I have plans to knit a Christmas jumper, and we're all planning to knit the same one for our Christmas meetup. So this year we're having a bit of a knit along. One of us has already finished her Christmas jumper, and one of us, being me, had at least purchased the yarn for her Christmas jumper and had done a swatch. And I had planned to use this yarn and to do the colourwork section in a nice ecru colour. So yeah, I'll talk more about the pattern and whatnot when I actually get to it. However, I did the swatch using this yarn, and it's a bleeder, and so I didn't fancy having a pink trees, so I decided that I was just going to use this yarn for something else, and I was going to knit it now while we're in lockdown and knit myself a COVID-19 cardigan. So the pattern that I've chosen is the Georgetown cardigan by Hannah Fettig, and I'll see if I can actually just shimmy over this way and put a picture in front of my laundry of the actual pattern, because it's a lovely shawl collar cardigan, and a couple of my friends have already knitted this cardigan, and both of them have either knitted another one or are planning to knit another one. And I think the other thing that really appealed to me is they both have quite different body types, and it still looks great on both of them and is a really serviceable wardrobe staple. And it looks nice on a lot of the people on with the Ravelry projects as well. I think it's partly because it has a set-in sleeve, and that just looks quite smart and tailored. So I've decided to make that particular cardigan. So I've pretty much been knitting monogamously when my mouth works, just on that cardigan. The yarn I'm using is some that I got when I was visiting my family in New Zealand, and it is this Southlander double knit, which we call out there, we call it 8-ply. And it's made from New Zealand wool. It was a very reasonably priced yarn, and this is the colourway Foxy Red, which is a beautiful rusty colour. On my viewfinder that looks about right, but I don't know how it'll show up on your screen, so who knows. So I started, just bashing my biscuit tin. I started by knitting the sleeves as a swatch, and I stopped the sleeves at the point where you start doing the sleeve cap shaping. It's all knitted flat. I think there are instructions for knitting some of the pieces together, but one of the things that I like about knitting, there's a couple of things I like about knitting a cardigan in pieces. Usually there's not more than one operation happening at the same time, except for maybe the arm size shaping and the neckline, and so there's not a lot of things to keep track of, and they're in very portable sized pieces, and so it just means that you're not having to lug around a massive jumper. Not that I'm going anywhere at the moment, but you know, when I go all the way to the kitchen to knit there and back again, I don't have to take a massive jumper with me, and so I quite enjoy that. And I also think that the seaming can give a garment quite a structured, tailored look, which is something that I was looking for with this cardigan. I got to the point where I have finished all of the torso pieces and have sewed them together, and I have gotten so used to knitting oversized garments that when I came to wash the pieces and then dried them and stitched them up, I had a panic because they looked small, but actually when I compared them to some of my other more fitted garments, they were about right. And I've tried it on now and it does look okay, but I did have this moment where it's like, oh no, I've knitted the wrong size, it's gonna be tight. But fortunately all my measuring and swatching had paid off and everything is fine. So I'm going to put this down now and actually show you the torso on, because I've got to the point where I have finished that. Stand by. So I'm really pleased with the way that this is going. You might have noticed when I was standing there twirling about that I haven't sewn up the tails here yet, and that's because when I knitted the cardigan front and the back, I started the stocking stitch with a provisional cast on, and I've added in some extra length because I'm 5'9", so I've added some extra length in before the first shaping section, and I also added some extra length before I started shaping the arm side, this section here that cuts in for the arm. And so that the section, the extra that I added here was to move the waist down so it actually fits on my waist, and then I added this here so that it actually just comes over and skims my hips and is a little bit more of a long line cardigan. But I started off with a provisional cast on so that once I had seamed this up I could actually see how long the cardigan was and where it sat on my hips and work out if I wanted to add some length, or I'd given myself some leeway to be able to take some length away. And as it transpired I just knitted on the rib afterwards, so that's why I haven't sewn up that section yet. The length issue is also the reason why I had knitted the seams to the beginning of the arm side shaping, because I had a feeling that I would want to add more length as well. And I could have done the same and done a provisional cast on at this end, but I didn't want the actual sleeve shaping to come higher up my arm. My arms tend to be straight until fairly straight until my elbow, and so a lot of garments will start arm shaping right up here, and in fact I need to start it further down here where my arm actually begins to taper. So I finished the arm until I had got to this bit of shaping, and then I put it on scrap yarn and put it to one side, and when I had finished the torso and sewn it all together I was actually able to measure how long I wanted it to be from the armpit to the wrist, or below my wrist, because this is going to be a cozy cardigan, so I wanted the arms to be a bit longer, and also so I have the option of folding up the cuff as well. Yeah, so I've added in the length there, so that's correct, and now I'm just doing the sleeve shaping, and this is the first sleeve, so I still have the other one to do as well. But I'm really excited about that. It's coming on great guns, and I think it's going to be a really nice cardigan to wear. The yarn is not super soft, but it feels smooth, and I think some people might find it prickly, but I'm okay, and it's an over the top of other clothes garment, if that's a thing. You know, it's not something I'm going to wear next to my skin, so I'm not worried if it has a slight prickle factor. Yeah, so that is my Georgetown cardigan, and I've been really enjoying knitting it. I also thought I would take a moment to talk to you about Knit 1000 Grams, because this weekend just been, I was supposed to be at Wonderwool in Wales with a gang of lovely knitting friends, and I decided that this year that would be the catalyst for ending Knit 1000 Grams, and I would have the wonderful pleasure of buying one of you a little gift for participating. And of course Wonderwool was cancelled, and so I don't know what to say about that now. So obviously I didn't go, but I did have the pleasure on Sunday morning of selecting someone from the Finished Objects thread who had met their Knit 1000 Grams, or the Knit 1000 Grams target, and I went through the exhibitors list actually, and just took a look at all sorts of wonderful exhibitors that I hadn't seen before, some that I hadn't seen since last time I was at Wonderwool Wales, and I've picked out a little gift for the winner. So that might take a little longer to get here than usual, and it only occurred to me after I had ordered the things that I could have just sent it straight to you. So anyway, usually also I would pick up other little bits around. If they're like at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, there's usually a newspaper or something like that, so there's always goodies that you can pop into that parcel, but unfortunately I think well, I've chosen some nice things, so I hope that the winner really enjoys those. And the winner is, where are we? Dr. Sockstagram. So I've been in contact with you and you've sent me your address. So as soon as those items arrive, I will package them up and forward them on to you. And I thank you so much for everybody who joined in with Knit 1000 Grams this year. I went through highs and lows with this because it just became apparent that I wasn't going to knit a kilo from my stash, and I had gone out and bought new yarn that I wanted to knit, and Knit 1000 Grams wasn't going to be a thing for me. But it's always nice to go through that thread and see the different things that you've been working on, and to be inspired by some patterns that I wasn't that familiar with, and to see them on different bodies and that sort of thing. And so I really enjoy that element of the community, and I'm really excited that you guys are excited to do it year on year. That's really fun. Usually we also end Knit 1000 Grams by having an in-person meetup for coffee somewhere with just people who can make it. At the Edinburgh Yarn Festival we've had some really nice times. I think we've done that twice now at least. I'm not sure, but I had planned to do it for Wonderwall as well, and it just didn't come to fruition. So yeah, a little bummed, but I still enjoyed Knit 1000 Grams this year, and I was so glad that you guys joined in and had fun with that as well. Hi, this is not a ghost. I'm not being haunted. That's my laundry. So yeah, and once again I'm at the end of my work day, and I thought I would pop in and have a little chat with you. But the thing is, I'm doing ribbing, which I find requires a little bit of looking, so maybe this is not going to work so well. But anyway, we'll see, we'll give it a go. I think the thing that I haven't mentioned since last time I spoke to you is the Advent mini skein swap. And shortly we're up to Q2, and a few of you had signed up, but I think a lot of people were being distracted by COVID-19 and the fact that many places in the world were about to go into lockdown, or were actually in lockdown. So there hadn't been a lot of people that had signed up in that thread, and I forget what message I left in the thread now, but off the top of my head I think I had decided that we would postpone Q2 of the mini skein swap, and I was going to review the situation at the end of May and just see how things were going and whether or not we should go ahead then. So if you did put your name down for a mini skein swap buddy and you haven't heard from me, then that's why. Never fear, I will be back in touch, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with the mini skein swap as the year progresses. I'm actually just in the midst of dividing up a sock tube. If you've been watching for a while, you'll know that if I have a really fun self-striping yarn, I knit the whole ball as a tube and then divide it into a couple of pairs of socks, and then I usually give them away at Christmas time, and that's what I've done this time. So I'm just doing the ribbing for the next sock, and I have the tube that I've knitted that I'm going to do afterthought everything for, and I've already cut off one sock. I don't have sock blockers at the moment, they're all in my storage unit. So yeah, you've got a flattened, a very uninspiring flattened sort of a sock. I suppose if it was on a sock blocker it would look more, there we go, that's more of an anatomical foot shape, isn't it? So the yarn was a really kind gift from Rose, who is Akari Yarns, and she lives in Canada, and she had done a self-striping yarn experiment and she sent it to me. I think I've got the tag in my bag because she did name it as well. There we go. It's Akari Yarns and it's a merino sock, superwash merino nylon, yeah, and it's a one-of-kind colour. I haven't seen any other self-striping yarns from her, but this one is really pretty. I hope you can see it has speckles of, reminds me of cookies and cream or something. It has speckles of pinky red and green in between those lovely brown stripes. And for the heels, cuffs and toes, I'm knitting from this lovely ball, and this is Sheepish Sock from Ginger Twist Studios. I forgot what the colour was, and I don't have the tag to hand either, but ooh, what's in there? Oh, that's not a tag. Yeah, so I don't have the tag to hand, but I will update my project page with the correct colourway for that one. And I think that's coming up really well. So I think this is about a size 4 or 5 sock. I did a 60 stitch tube, and as I say, I'll get 2 pairs of socks out of the remainder of the tube. It may be that I have to knit a little bit extra on a leg or something to get the second pair of socks, or they may be a little smaller or something, but I just save them up until Christmas time, and then I just gift them to people that I like who have the right sized feet, and it's lots of fun. Or sometimes I just give them away to charity, like Sockline at, what do they call it, the Wool Festival in Skipton. I want to call it Yarnageddon, and it's not Yarnporium either. That's completely skipped my mind. Anyway, sometimes there are charities that want socks, and so I give Yarndale, that's what it's called. Yeah, they have a sock line at Yarndale, and you can donate socks, which are then given to people in hospices or homeless people, or just people who are in a little need of some care. So yeah, I really enjoy doing that because you get to use up the whole of your pretty self-striping yarn ball and make socks for other people, which is good fun. You might notice that I have a pink glow in the background here. And I think last time I had taken you to the allotment with me, and I had been telling you about the seedlings that I was growing at home, and I've been struggling a little bit with growing seedlings here because this room is north facing and it doesn't get any direct sunlight or any, it's not actually that warm either, and so I've just been really struggling to start things in here. So I splurged on I guess it's called a grow lamp or something like that. It's an LED light with the right spectrum of light to make my plants grow without them going all long and leggy, which was the problem that I I was having. So later in the week, when it's a little bit brighter in here, I might take you back there to have a look and just show you what's going on. I am still finding that it's a little bit cool to start things off in this room, and so I'm really tempted to get a heat pad, but I shall see how that goes. Hello! I thought I would come and show you what's happening over in this corner of my room. So you can see the pink light here. This is my little growing corner, and so this is the light that I got off Amazon for growing plants. And so far I've had some success. Well, you can see my leeks back there. They're not looking great. I don't think they rooted very well to begin with, just because it's quite cool in here. And there's some coriander in front there, which does look okay. It was a little bit leggy before I put it under the lights. I think the basil completely gave up because it might have been a little bit cool here for it. And I had no success with the squash whatsoever. So I've actually ordered a heated propagator, and the main reason that I wanted to do that is because I was given some loofah seeds by a friend. I didn't know that loofahs were a thing that you grew. I used to think that they were a little like sponges and came from somewhere under the sea. But yeah, so I have these really special seeds and I have planted them, and I'm just worried that it's not gonna be warm enough. I've got some other things on the go here as well. But yeah, I'm hoping that my heated propagator will arrive and that I'll be able to tuck those things in there and get them started. As I said, I am really struggling with the new growing conditions, and it wasn't really my aim to get a whole lot of electrical appliances, but I really enjoy doing this, and so it's something that I wanted to invest in. So I hope you enjoyed this little corner complete with my laundry and I shall see you later. I am afraid that this is as close as you're going to get to my allotment in this episode. I haven't been in the greenhouse today because if I plant seeds, I'm not sure I'll be able to get them started at home. So until I get my home growing situation sorted out, I've just been up here bothering the weeds a bit, which is very rewarding in itself. And you can probably gather from my attire that it is a little bit inclement up here, and it's just started to rain. So yeah, unfortunately no footage of the allotment this time, but I thought I would just sit in the car and do a row on my Georgetown cardigan. So I'm not sure where I was when I spoke to you about this earlier in the week. I finished the sleeves, I've assembled the torso. I need to wash the sleeves and then I'll sew up the seams on those. But I'm knitting on the shawl collar before I attach the sleeves, just because the whole blob is kind of a little bit smaller that way. And it is just a blob because I have it shoved onto the shortest needle I possibly can, and that's mainly because this was the only cable I had to spare. I'm not quite halfway through the shawl collar. There's still, I think I'm about a third of the way through. You start off on a smaller needle size, and then for the bit that sort of folds over, you go up a needle size. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and do a row, and then I shall tootle back to my place of abode. I have to say, at the moment I am so pleased to have the allotment as a place to come. It's very nice just to be somewhere other than home right now, and I'm sure many of you are maybe wishing you had somewhere else you could be. I've heard of one person who hid behind the back seats in their car just to be away from their family for a time. And so yeah, I feel quite fortunate to be able to come here. It's been really nice to chat to you again through the week and to have drawn the winner for 1000 grams. I'm still waiting for part of the prize for that to arrive, and then I shall get it in the post. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed being here with me, and this has maybe been a little respite and calm from what might seem like a chaotic and uncertain world at the moment. Yeah, so it's been really nice just to have some time to chat with you about the things that are going on. I think I mentioned earlier in the week it's a little difficult because the days are starting to feel like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same. So, yes. Anyway, I hope you'll come and join us in the Ravelry group and share in the conversations that are happening over there, and just check in with the group. It's always lovely to hear from you there, and I shall see you next time. Cheerio!